Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you the next chapter in the story of James and LyTuDiep. After all the storms they've been through, James and Diep have finally moved in together, starting their journey to build a true home. Just when things seemed to be settling down, another challenge arose. This time, it came from James's father, who firmly opposes their decision to adopt little Nee, the child they've long loved as their own. Caught between his strict father and the woman he loves along with the innocent little girl, James finds himself torn. Meanwhile, Diep quietly endures her fears, terrified that just one word of disapproval from James's father could shatter the home they've fought so hard to build. What will James do to protect Diep and little Nee? Will his father's heart be moved by their sincere love? And will their small family finally be accepted? Watch the full video to find out what happens next in this emotional story. Don't forget to leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and hit like and subscribe to support James, Diep, and little Nee on their journey. That morning, the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, casting warm golden streaks across the small courtyard. Diep and James stood in front of their shop, where a brand new signboard had just been installed a few minutes earlier. Each letter of DJ Agriculture, clean produce from the heart, stood out against the wooden background, simple yet elegant, like a quiet declaration of their dream and devotion. James stepped back a few paces, squinting to admire the newly hung sign, his hands still smudged with bits of paint. He smiled faintly, a look of deep satisfaction spreading across his face. "It's finally done, Diep. It looks even better than I imagined." Beside him, Diep carefully wiped the corners of the sign, her eyes sparkling under the morning light. A bead of sweat slid down her cheek, yet her smile shone brighter than the sun itself. "All that hard work these past few days was worth it," she said softly, her voice filled with pride. The air around them carried a mix of fresh paint and the faint aroma of tea drifting from a nearby house, the comforting scent of a peaceful new beginning full of hope. A while later, Diep closed her notebook and walked over to the landlord's house to discuss the lease. His small home stood right next door, old lime walls, but neat and well kept. He was sitting on the porch, brewing tea, his eyes following the street. When he saw Diep approaching, a gentle smile appeared on his face. "You're here already? Come in, have some tea. It's nice and cool." Diep sat down politely, her hands resting neatly on her knees. "Uncle, I came to talk more about renting this space, the one I mentioned before. I'd like to divide it so we can have a small working area of our own." The old man nodded slowly, his tone warm and familiar, like family. "Yes, I remember. We're all from the same village, no need for complicated paperwork. I trust you two are honest people. Just pay the rent every 6 months, that's fine with me." Diep smiled gently, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you, Uncle. Still, I'd like to leave a deposit of 5 million first. Tomorrow when the workers come to build the partition, I'll pay the rest, just so everything's clear and both sides feel comfortable." The landlord looked at her for a moment, then chuckled kindly. "You're careful, I like that. All right then, let's do it your way. If there's ever any trouble, just tell me. Folks in the same village should look out for one another." They chatted a bit more, their laughter mingling with the scent of hot tea and the soft afternoon breeze, filling the air with warmth and ease. Across the yard, James was rearranging a few flower pots, adjusting the sunshade over the entrance. Together, they painted a quiet, beautiful picture, two young people building their dreams step by step, supported by trust, kindness, and the goodwill of those around them. That afternoon, the wind drifted in from the distant fields, carrying the earthy scent of freshly turned soil. James wore a dark baseball cap and held a rolled-up blueprint of the new garden. Glancing back at Diep walking a few steps behind, he said with a smile. "Come on, I'll show you the new land we just bought. I believe this will be the start of something far greater than either of us ever imagined." The dirt road ahead curved gently between two rows of tall chinaberry trees. The rustling of leaves and the soft breeze seemed to slow their steps. In the distance, the land unfolded before them, vast, green, and peaceful, like a dream slowly taking shape. James stopped midway down the path and pointed toward the rows of trees standing tall and neat. "These are 100 cat-K pomelo trees. They're easy to grow, but you have to prune them regularly. Over there are 50 phuc pomelos, large, fragrant, and they sell at a good price. And near the pond's edge, over 100 duong pomelos. I just fertilized them with organic compost 2 weeks ago, and look at those leaves, they're glowing." Diep looked around, her eyes wide in awe. The endless green stretching to the horizon filled her with emotion. She bent down to touch a low branch, still glistening with dew. James smiled, took out a small knife, picked a fruit, cut it in half, and handed her a piece to taste. A tangy flavor spread across her tongue. Diep wrinkled her nose slightly and smiled. "It's good, but maybe still a bit early." James nodded. "Yeah, not sweet enough yet. Needs another month of sunlight, then the sugar rises, the flesh firms up. That'll be the perfect time to harvest." He swept his gaze across the garden, his voice steady and full of purpose. "I don't plan to sell the first batch of pomelos. I want to keep them as our company's very first branded product, something that, when people hear about it, they'll remember DJ Agriculture." He pointed to the pomelos scattered on the ground and continued. "The peels, we can turn into candied fruit for Tet. And the essential oils in the rind, I'm thinking of distilling them to make herbal shampoo. It's clean, natural, and we'll use every bit of what we grow." Diep stood silently, pride glowing in her eyes. She knew that every word James spoke wasn't just a business plan, but the dream, the passion, and the conviction of a modern farmer, someone who dared to dream big and believe in the value of Vietnamese agriculture. Leaving the pomelo orchard, James led her along a dirt path toward another plot, a wide pineapple field. Unlike the shade of the pomelo grove, the pineapples basked under the sunlight, their sharp leaves reflecting light like tiny blades. He crouched down, inspecting the plants as he spoke. "It's off-season now, so the fruit is fewer and a bit sour. But around August or September, during peak season, we can earn about 20 million per harvest. If it goes well, I'm thinking we can make pineapple jam, juice, or syrup, double the value easily." He picked up a handful of soil, squeezed it gently in his palm, then let it fall through his fingers. "See this? It's sandy loam soil, airy, moisture-balanced, perfect for fruit trees. Beyond that canal is the edge of our land. I'm thinking of raising a few dozen ducks under the pomelo trees. They'll eat the weeds and pests, and their droppings can fertilize the soil. That way, our farm becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem, nothing wasted." Walking beside him, Diep listened quietly, a deep sense of peace welling in her heart. The afternoon sun poured softly over the orchard, stretching the trees' shadows across the ground. The scent of pomelo leaves mingled with that of soil and young pineapples, a fragrance of sweat, dreams, and quiet faith. The two of them stood still in the middle of that vast garden, surrounded only by the sound of wind and rustling leaves. No words were needed, both James and Diep knew it clearly. This place was not just a field of trees. It was the beating heart of the future they were building together. That late afternoon, the sunlight faded over the dusty red village road. After inspecting the orchard, James drove back to his father's house. The wind streamed through the open window, carrying the scent of soil and lingering pomelo leaves. A heaviness settled in his chest. The brief phone call earlier had said only that his father wanted to talk in person. The family villa appeared behind a row of older contamelon trees, elegant, imposing, and serious, much like Mr. David himself, the man who had built a powerful company that James had since walked away from. As the iron gate opened, James's steps slowed. His shoes clicked softly across the wide courtyard, mixing with the brittle crackle of dry leaves underfoot. Inside the living room, Mr. David sat waiting, a cup of tea steaming beside him. He looked up as his son entered. "You're here. Sit down." His voice carried both command and greeting. James bowed slightly and took a seat across from him. For a moment, silence filled the room, only the steady ticking of the grandfather clock echoed against the walls. Mr. David spoke first, his tone calm but commanding. "The company needs a manager. Your brother's tied up with the Singapore branch. I want you to come back and help. Don't let everything fall apart just because of your stubbornness." James clenched his hands lightly, his voice steady. "I understand. But I've chosen a different path. I want to build something of my own, with my own effort, not live off the family business." Mr. David set his teacup down with a sharp clink of porcelain against wood. "Build something of your own? You're just making things harder for yourself. I'm not against your interest in agriculture, but giving up every opportunity here just to grow a few pomelo trees out in the fields, is that really worth it?" James gave a faint smile. "I'm not growing a few pomelos. I'm building a brand, a real one, where farmers can own their products and take pride in them. That's what I believe in." The air thickened between them. Mr. David stared at his son for a long moment before nodding slightly. "Fine. Then let's talk about something else. I heard you plan to get married." James lifted his head. "Yes. Diep and I have decided. After the harvest, we'll hold a small ceremony." Mr. David was silent for a while before saying, "If it's about that, I won't stop you. Diep is kind and decent, I have no objection. But, as for adopting that child, I absolutely do not agree." James frowned slightly. His father's voice grew cold. "She's not your blood. Are you really planning to raise another man's child for the rest of your life? Diep's already been married once, and now she's bringing in a child. Have you thought about what that means for your future?" A heavy silence hung in the room. James looked straight into his father's eyes, his tone low but firm. "Beanie is innocent, father. I love her like my own daughter. I'm happy when I'm with them, both of them. And I've done nothing wrong to be ashamed of." Mr. David turned away, his voice cutting like a blade. "If that's how you see it, then listen carefully. You have two choices, Diep or the company. I will not accept both." James said nothing. The hesitation in his eyes was gone. He rose slowly, bowed slightly, and replied calmly, "Father, I won't choose. Because I don't want to lose either, but if I must give something up, I'll still stand by what I believe is right." Mr. David turned back, his eyes a storm of anger and disappointment, yet deep down, there was also the quiet ache of a father realizing his son could no longer be held back. James walked out of the room, each step heavy but unyielding. Outside, dusk had fallen. The wind was cold, whispering through the trees. He took a deep breath and looked up at the dim gray sky, where the streetlights had just begun to glow. In his gaze burned a quiet resolve, the mark of a man who had grown, who would not turn back. And he knew, no matter how hard the road ahead might be, he would keep moving forward, for Diep, for little me, and for the belief that now defined his life. While James was driving home after the tense conversation with his father, at their newly built house, LyTuDiep and James's mother were busy preparing dinner. The air was filled with the warm aroma of fried shallots, ginger, and simmered pork. The soft glow of the kitchen lights wrapped the small space in a cozy, homely warmth. Little Me sat at the corner of the table, completely focused on her drawing. On the white sheet of paper, she drew a house with a garden, a little dog, and 3 people holding hands under a blue sky. Every now and then, she ran over to show it to Diep, eyes sparkling with joy. "Mom, look. This is our house." Diep gently patted her daughter's head, her eyes tender. "Yes, sweetheart. That's our home. We're celebrating tonight, so be a good girl and help Mommy, okay?" James's mother smiled fondly, chopping vegetables as she spoke. "She's got such a creative hand. Just looking at that picture makes me feel happy already." Then she turned to Diep. "The new company must be keeping you both busy, isn't it? Have you found a good place to start yet?" Diep wiped her hands and smiled. "Yes, we just rented a space at the intersection by the village entrance. It's convenient for trucks to come collect produce. Just yesterday, James finished putting up the new signboard. In a few days, once the partitions are done, we'll be able to start working." James's mother nodded, her eyes warm with care. "That's wonderful. Location is everything in business, you two are lucky. But listen, Diep, if you ever need extra funds or anything at all, just tell me. Don't be shy. I see you both as my own children." Diep's eyes glistened, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you so much, Mom. James and I only wish for your love and support, that alone means the world to us." As they spoke, Little Me ran over and carefully placed her new drawing in the middle of the dining table. In it, 3 people sat around a meal together. Above them, in wobbly handwriting, were the words, "DJ Agriculture Family, Happiness." James's mother laughed, touched and amused. "My goodness, she even knows how to write agriculture? Daddy James taught me." Nee replied proudly. Laughter filled the kitchen, bright and cheerful. Just then, the sound of a car engine echoed outside the gate. James stepped in, and the scent of home-cooked food instantly eased the weight in his chest. Diep looked up at him and smiled softly. "You're back. Wash your hands, dinner's ready." James glanced around, at his mother, at Diep, at Little Me, and nodded, his eyes warm with emotion. He said nothing about the earlier conversation with his father. He simply sat down, quietly taking Diep's hand in his. Dinner that night was simple: braised fish, sour soup, boiled greens, and bowls of steaming white rice. Yet the air was full of peace, the kind that only a real home could hold. After pouring a bit of wine into their glasses, James's mother lifted hers and spoke gently. "Congratulations, you two. Take things slow, success will come in time. As long as this family keeps loving each other like today, there's no hardship you can't overcome." James and Diep exchanged smiles and raised their glasses. The soft clink of glass rang out through the warm kitchen, a quiet promise for the road ahead. Outside, the golden light from the window reflected off the DJ Agriculture sign hanging under the porch, glowing bright against the calm evening. It was their first dinner after officially beginning their journey, a night filled with love, faith, and hope for the future to come. Dinner that evening unfolded in a warm, peaceful atmosphere. The table was set with only a few simple dishes: clay pot braised fish, banana blossom sour soup, and boiled morning glory with garlic fish sauce. The laughter of James's mother, too deep, and Little Me mingled with the aroma of hot rice, filling the small kitchen with homely comfort. James sat beside Diep, occasionally placing a piece of fish in her bowl or scooping soup for Nee. All the fatigue of the day seemed to melt away, leaving only the simple joy of a family meal shared together. In the midst of the cheerful chatter, James's mother's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her brows furrowing slightly. "It's your father calling," Let me take this. She stepped out to the porch. Mr. David's voice came through the line, low, slightly hoarse, laced with concern. Have you heard from Hung these past few days? I've called several times, but he's not answering. I even texted, but no reply. James's mother froze for a moment before answering quietly. No. I thought you were still in contact with him. Wasn't he on a work trip in Cambodia? Yes, David replied. He went to inspect a farming site near the border province. But we've lost contact completely for the past few days. I've already sent people over there to look for him. She glanced back toward the dining room through the doorway, her expression darkened slightly. Stay calm. It's probably just poor reception. I'll have James check with their local partners tomorrow to see if there's any news. When she returned, James was pouring water for everyone. Noticing the worry in her eyes, he asked. Something wrong, Mom? She hesitated briefly, then said. Your father said he hasn't been able to reach Hung for several days. Can you try calling him, see if the company knows anything? James immediately pulled out his phone and dialed. The ringtone echoed in the silence, long, and then cut off. He tried again, twice more. No answer. Pressing his lips together, he spoke calmly. He's probably deep in the forest area, no signal, that's all. Hung mentioned that the network there was really unstable. His mother nodded, trying to mask her worry. Yes, let's hope that's all it is. Little Me chimed in innocently. Is Uncle Hung the one who gave me strawberry candy last time, Mommy? He's really nice, I'm sure he's okay. Everyone chuckled softly, the child's voice lightening the tension in the room. Diep rested her hand gently on James's shoulder and whispered. I'm sure it's nothing serious. You'll probably hear from him tomorrow. James nodded, forcing a faint smile to reassure them. But deep inside, an uneasy feeling had begun to stir. He turned toward the porch, the street light outside cast shifting shadows of tree branches swaying in the wind. And he thought silently. Hung, where are you right now? The dinner went on, laughter slowly returning to the room. But in James's heart, a strange premonition had already begun to take shape. A quiet signal of the storm that was about to come. ChatGPT de NOI. The story closes, for now, with the warmth of a family dinner. Yet somewhere between the laughter, a strange wind has begun to stir. Could Hung really have just lost contact temporarily? Or is there something far more serious hidden behind that business trip? When DJ agriculture is only taking its very first steps. Will James, Diep, and Little Me be strong enough to face the coming storm? Stay tuned for the next episode to find out what lies ahead. And don't forget to leave a comment if you're holding your breath, following their journey too.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đang làm video về câu chuyện quản lý tự Diệp và CEO James. Mình đã làm xong rồi và bây giờ mình đang đặt tên cho video. Mình cũng chưa biết là sẽ đặt tên như thế nào để có thể để đưa video hay và ý nghĩa nhất đến cho mọi người. Mong rằng mọi người sẽ ủng hộ cho kênh mình nhiều hơn. Em cảm ơn mọi người vì đã theo dõi đến cuối cùng của video. Chào tạm biệt và hẹn gặp lại.